Welcome to Never Shut Up. I'm your host, Marcellus Wiley, and I'm in love with you today. And it's not just today, but today I have to acknowledge it because it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. Even if you don't love everything I say, you got love for your boy. But it's interesting when we talk about Valentine's Day, and let's just get to it. It's a weird day, right? Like, if you're in a relationship, me, married 8 years, going on 9 in June, it's like, oh, today we got to get extra with our love. Oh, today we put an exclamation point on our love, when every other day, baby, I love you. You want to know how I love you? I'm here with you. I'm committed to you. This is our beautiful family, our beautiful home. Amazon boxes are on the front porch every single damn day. To me, that feels like love, right? But oh no, I wish you would mail it in on February 14th, like that's enough. And your wife gonna give you the biggest eye roll and side eye you've ever seen, right? So we gotta get into what Valentine's Day really is. And we're not gonna go historical and Saint Valentine and all that stuff. No, we're talking about right now, today. What is Valentine's Day? I think simply it's just a day to celebrate love. And it's not just relationships. It's not just intimate relationships, your wife, your girlfriend, your girlfriends, your extras, your side pieces, whatever it is. It's not just that. It's your friends. It's your family. It's your coworkers. It's your social circle. It's people out there that have influence on your life. And today is the day where we amplify how appreciative we are of them. And it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's tough for me because I'm driving. I'm like, okay, got to do something special for the wife. And then I'm like every other dude probably out there. Okay, flowers and chocolates. And in my head, I'm even yawning. I'm like, boring. And I'm like, I better not show up with no damn flowers and chocolates after all them Amazon boxes. She going to laugh me away. So then you start thinking, let me do something special. But while you're saying that, you're on the freeway off ramp, looking at them flowers like, damn it, that ain't gonna do it. Okay, what can I do? So then you make that same old simple reservation to her favorite restaurant, don't you? And you realize that one, they got the preset menu for that day, boring. And then on top of that, you're gonna be all out with strangers and it's almost like a cattle call, right? They want you in and out so they can make as much money as possible and put as little love into the food that day compared to normal. So you're like me, you're sitting at home, you're stressed out, you're thinking, how can I symbolize how much I care for you, honey? And it's impossible. It's just simply impossible. You grab the card, you say, okay, don't just sign it, love Marcellus. You actually try to write a note in there. And if you got bad handwriting like me, it bleeds onto the other side of the card. It goes into the writing that's already on the card. It just looks a damn mess. And all of this just to show someone how much you care. When in the back of your mind, you're like, I care so much, I'm going through this process to show you I care. Shouldn't you already know I care? It's just hilarious. Like, it's a very loving day on paper, but I think in action, man, it's hard to get through Valentine's Day. So let me just take you through my day already. I wake up in the morning. I wake up about 5:30 at the latest. And it's always my middle daughter who is sleeping with us. She's 4 years old. I know what y'all gonna say. I thought you were a better parent than that. Oh man, we gave up a long time ago. Plus she got some of the best cuddles I've ever had, man. I love my little mama. So she sleeps between my wife and I. Yeah, y'all right. Y'all know. Ain't nothing happening every night. Nothing. Appointment viewing only, right? So we're sitting there cuddled up. MJ Biscuit, my boy who's 7, he comes in around that time. He likes to get his little cuddles in. So I'm sandwiched between the two kids, wife on the other end. Happy Valentine's Day, right? And then the kids wake up and what they do, because they've heard about it, they are believers in it. They're so excited. They have their little chocolates already. Happy Valentine's Day, Daddy. I love you. And they're just saying it without us even teeing them up, without us cueing them up. And then that makes you realize what love really is, right? It's really about all the simple things. I think as a man, sometimes as a provider, whoever you are, you can sometimes think that love is just this overarching protection and security. It does involve that. But it also involves just little things to just make someone feel better. Just give them that little dopamine hit because they're like, God, he just looked at me like he loves me. God, he just said something that just encouraged me. So I challenge everyone out there, no matter who you are, no matter who is in your world, to kind of give them that hit today. Give them that love today to make them feel better, because you certainly will feel it back in exchange. But Valentine's Day, I'm not going to stress it. It's early right now. I got a long day ahead. I have nothing planned. Everything I told you before is probably exactly what I'm going to go through this afternoon and evening. Sometimes I think Valentine's Day is overrated. I'm just like, dude, like I'm 364 days in with love, honey. Do we have to go hard in the paint today? And she looking at me like, yeah, if you want to keep this magic alive, yes, you better, right? Oh, man. I think I got to end it with this because I love levity. I love to laugh in my pain. I love to always bring light to things, even if they're hard and heavy and dark. But one thing I struggle with love is the distance that I have for love. I'm a little scared of love. Like, I know I have unconditional love for my wife and my family, but at the same time, I had a tragic death that occurred to me. I lost my best friend when I was 11. And when that happened, because he was so young, because it was sudden, because he was like an angel on this planet, the dude did no wrong. And when that occurred, I won't lie to you guys, it's like I'm still in PTSD from that moment in terms of always scared that I may lose the things that I love. So instead of just embracing them and cherishing them to the fullest and not letting them go and clenching on them, right, clawing for it, I sometimes try to protect myself and keep that little gap just in case things change, just in case things are different, just in case I lose who I love. And I've always had that challenge. I've been to therapy. I think about it when I'm not around anybody. I'm the best lover in the world. But then when I get around them, that fear kicks in. So I issue you a challenge to go into your love, the good parts and the parts that are challenging, to make sure you heal yourself and then you share that love with everyone around you. That's what Valentine's Day is about to me. Not only showing love to everyone else, but actually going inside yourself too. Show yourself a little love. Coming up on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reese TV, we're now post-Super Bowl. What happens to all these NFL players, all 2,000 of them fat dudes walking around the streets with too many gold chains on? I'm going to tell you what the offseason looks like for everyone in the NFL from beginning to end. Next on Never Shut Up. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. Marcellus, Wiley right here. And we are all sitting here with a big hole in our heart. And it's not Valentine's Day related. It's because the Super Bowl is over and there's no more NFL football. And goodness, you can feel the void in this country right now. Like our national holiday has now been suspended until August. What are we to do with those Sundays? Are we supposed to play with the family? Are we supposed to play with the kids? Are we really supposed to hang out with each other? Oh, what are we going to do? Well, it's not just you who are dealing with that reality. It's 2,000 NFL players, all of them now, are dealing with the reality of the offseason. But what is the offseason? Like, let's take a deep dive into what offseason looks like. Because it's really not off. It's really turning on other parts of your brain, other parts of your body, other muscles. It's time for them to be strengthened. Let's start here. So I was a player for 10 years. I made the playoffs 3 times, right? So that means 7 years of my 10-year career. Season was over when the regular season ended. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Of course I wanted a championship. Of course I wanted our team to do the best. But there is something bittersweet about, oh, it's over? Okay, good. I don't have to get hurt anymore. I don't have to get hit anymore. Maybe I had a lingering injury that, being real, I wasn't putting my best foot forward. I wasn't putting my best version on film. And now it's over. Thankfully, I could get that surgery. I could get that rehab. I can go back into the weight room and get myself stronger for next year. So for some guys, it's a hard reset that they're actually looking forward to. Now, you got to swallow that bitter pill of you're not a champion this year, and you have to deal with that. But 3 times in my career, I actually went to the playoffs. And wow, you talk about not just excitement, but the fact that you're looking at the rest of the season, those 2, 3, 4 games as money makers. And I'm not talking about just currency. I'm talking about legacy. Like, it's going to define you for generations to come. We still talk about Joe Namath just guaranteeing that he was going to win the Super Bowl. And I don't even think he scored in the Super Bowl. But the point is, we'll never forget that just because of how big the stakes are. So in those playoff years, talking about having the chance to date the high school prom queen, you're just sitting there like, this is my moment. If we win this game, we win the next game. One more game, confetti will fall and dreams will be realized. But as you guys know me, and you know the Wiley curse is real, I was 0 for 3 in those playoffs. So now you get into the pool with everyone else except those few teams that make it to the Super Bowl. Let's use this year as an example. Kansas City and Philly. 30 other teams already out. And then it's those 2 teams. But now we got our champions, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. You got to wipe away and lick your tears. Now what do? The first thing you do, I don't care who you are, is you rest and you recover. I think a lot of times when people talk about working out, you look at a big, strong football player, you think the guy lives in the gym. Well, that's an incomplete sentence. Yes, he lives in the gym, but he also lives in his bed. And I'm not talking about with the opposite sex. I'm talking about recovery. I'm talking about when you give yourself a strenuous workout, resistance training, you're actually breaking down your muscles. And the only way you come back bigger and stronger is if you recover and rest. So imagine going through 17 games, 18 weeks plus. Now it's time to rest. Now, there are different types of guys out there. There's some routines. I know some guys say, hey, I take a week off and I'm back at it. Why? Because they don't want to get that far out of shape. There's an old adage in the NFL that it takes forever to get into shape and no time to get out of it. So some guys don't want to wait that long. They go like a week, they're back at it. Some guys take up to a month. They're like, dude, I put my body through hell. It's time to recover, rest, but also take your mind off of football. One thing about focus that I think gets lost is that we think focus is just one dot on the wall. Football. And you're just totally consumed with it. Oh, that's the old school way of football. That's BC football. New school football is have a million dots on the wall, but know which ones to prioritize, which ones to focus in on. So that's what the offseason starts like. You start resting and you take your mind off the game. Then you start applying your mind back to the game, but in doses, slowly, so that you can peak right when you need to. Training camp and the regular season. So a lot of guys take their vacations, family trips, all that stuff. When I was single, I would hit the clubs, I hit the lounges, or when I was with my family, okay, it's time to take that trip to Cabo or to Hawaii, etc. And you do all those things because you've robbed your family, your friends of your time and investment during the regular season. You were committed. And now you get to the part where the teams are like, hey, you know that $500,000 bonus? You want it? Come to work out with us. Or you're going to spend that money with a trainer, or someone in your locale to work you out, to get you right. And I think the biggest part of the offseason, and this is a tip to all the youngsters out there, and I think a lot of veterans know this. When you leave college your senior year, your last year, you go to the combine, right? And in the combine, the great thing about it is that they give you measurables. You might be in the best shape of your life. Maybe when you get in the NFL a few more years, 25, 26, you may hit a peak number that's even greater than that. But you're in tremendous shape. They have now given you a baseline of what you can do in the 40, in the vertical jump, and the long jump, right? Bench press. They have given you numbers as a baseline to always measure yourself up against. So no more of this competition of your opponent, competition of your teammate. You get to compete against yourself. I did 35 reps in my pro day. In the off season, I'm thinking if I'm as strong as I used to be, or I'm going down the hill, I got to get 35 or more. So the challenge is always issued to yourself from those combine measurable numbers. You go start your workouts, you're back and forth to the facility, you still got your mind on football, but you're also taking care of other endeavors, and it's all starting to build. And it's building to what we all love, what we all waiting for, what we're all holding our breath for, that off season to be over. Training camp comes, you know the hell that ensues. But hey, it's heaven to us, all of us fans out there, because we get NFL football back. Well, coming up on Never Shut Up, we're going to switch gears to a very, very sad tragedy out of Michigan. Another, unfortunately, school shooting at Michigan State. We're going to talk through this. We're going to talk about how bad these situations are and why do they continue to happen. That's next on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. And unfortunately, I have to do this story once again. Another school shooting, and this time it's at Michigan State. 3 students killed, 5 critically injured, and a 43-year-old gunman was found with a self-inflicted wound, killing himself. Now, these stories are tragic, obviously. What we have to do is get beyond the pain of it to try and really address the problem, really address the illness, not just the symptoms of this, because when school shootings occur, they get sensationalized, you know? They get sensationalized. We all feel that emotional response. We all want to make drastic changes. But if you understand how this works in terms of not only gun control and how that's a part of this conversation, but also the fact that we really have a societal issue at hand that we're not fully addressing. I want to unpack that and talk through that. Prayers to the families affected, and not just in the Michigan State shooting. I'm from Compton, California, and frankly, there were daily shootings, it felt like, growing up. You know, some of the content of the music and the movies that you've seen from that area, that was a daily occurrence. I had to use up a lot of my RAM, a lot of my brain power just to navigate, just to survive, let alone try and thrive and be all I could be. The first day of just conscious thought felt like I had to navigate around all these ills in my community, and I'm not alone, right? Now, we are feeling that all across America. There used to be a thing called the code. People used to say, yeah, you know, the bad people will hurt the bad people. And, you know, it was all over there. It was all to the side. It was all in these certain areas. You guys have now seen, especially of late, this is the 67th school mass shooting in 2023. I say it again, the 67th mass shooting in 2023. Multiple victims, right? What I'm telling you guys is it happens all the time. And we have to address it like it's an all the time issue. I am putting my heart and my soul into this issue as well. I'm a part of an organization called ARGO, Alliance of Responsible Gun Ownership. Because one thing I have witnessed in response to the mass shootings, the school shootings, etc., is that everyone goes to an extreme. There are a lot of gun groups out there, a lot of policies that are on the extreme. You guys know them. Hey, let's ban all the guns, and then guess what? That will make safer schools, safer streets, safer communities. I don't think it would. You know why? Because if you ban all the guns, only the bad guys are going to get the access to the guns, right? Because the bad guys are not going to follow the law. Okay, so we're going to go to the other extreme and swing the pendulum. You know what? We're going to loosen it because we're going to just say, hey, it's a Second Amendment right. Anybody can have guns. Well, I think that's too extreme as well because we have to go into background checks. And 70% of Americans actually agree in greater background checks, including let's try to identify mental illness in those who are trying to buy guns. There's a lot of law, there are a lot of lobbyists out there who are trying to figure out what is the happy medium. Because somehow, some way between those two extremes, we have to meet in the middle. And we have to find something sensible to try our best to try to get rid of this. Now, it will never go away. Gun violence, why? Because evil exists, right? But we got to stop blaming the gun and start looking at the humans and the individuals who are now responsible with those guns. And unfortunately, like incidents like today, irresponsible with those guns. Someone told me this once. They say, we blame guns in our country more than anything. But if you think about it, you put a gun on a table, it does nothing. It needs a human being to activate. It needs a human being to be that weapon of destruction. But guns, by themselves, with a responsible gun owner, it's actually not only your right, a Second Amendment right in this country, but also it's something that could be used in self-defense. There are thousands and thousands of examples of people using guns in self-defense that don't get talked about, that actually saves lives, not kills and destroys lives, whether it's in the wild in times where people are being attacked by animals, or it's in actual cities, actual places of residence where you're being invaded and you protect you and your family. We're going to balance this conversation out because we really got to address the real issues at hand instead of being always sensationalized and jump into one of the extremes. So if you look at it from its totality and all of its greatness, what's happening right now? There are no borders to the violence. I remember, growing up in Compton and one day saying, man, I'm gonna move out to the suburbs. My family's gonna be safe and protected. We're not gonna have to deal with this stuff. And yes, I am in the suburbs now and I'm dealing with this. Everyone is dealing with this. You can send your kids to school. And as you send them to school, don't lie to yourself. You had a thought. Now your kids are doing emergency drills, evacuation drills because of school shootings. You could go to church. You think you're protected. You know that you're not protected fully when you go to church. Movie theaters, places of public, place where everyone goes. You can go out to the park. You can go to the mall. Everywhere. There are no more borders. There are no more codes. This is an American problem that we all are now dealing with. So let's deal with it responsibly. I am a gun owner, and I'm a responsible gun owner. And I'm a responsible gun owner because I know how not only dangerous a gun can be in the wrong hands, but how precious and how much it can actually protect and save in the right person's hands. So we're going to have to do something as a country that's going to make sure we do our best to put responsible gun owners in their position with gun ownership, and those who don't seem as qualified, whether it's the cooling off period. You just walk into a store and buy a gun. No, we need a 4-month cooling off period for minors, right? Don't just wake up one day, want a gun, because the studies have shown that most of the time someone who does that is actually someone who's in an emotional state, maybe want to retaliate or do something harmful with that gun. This is just the beginning of this conversation, because I am really tired of having the same conversation after every one of these mass shootings. And unfortunately, we're only in February and we already are at number 67. So let's all take a look within. Let's all take a look around, and let's try to be sensible about this and make sure that we are putting the responsibility on the human beings and not just the object. Let's talk through this. Well, coming up on Never Shut Up, it's time to walk in my shoes. Y'all know what we're going to do. I am going to take you guys through an existence that only Wiley can do. That's going to be the full episode on Brinks TV. And thank you guys for watching us on Reach TV. See you in a second. Never shut up. Welcome back to Never Shut Up on Brinks TV, and it's time to walk in my shoes. Yep, size 14s, and they smell good too. Let's talk about why are some athletes injury prone. I find it fascinating, and I'm not here to tell you the exact definitive answer. No, we're going to journey to this answer, but I'm going to take you through my experiences to let you know and enlighten you to what an injury prone athlete looks like. Exhibit A. I am that guy. Now, where did it start for me? It actually started when I was 8 years old. I have a childhood friend by the name of Mike Smith. We call him Lefty. He was our quarterback. And when you're 8 years old, especially in old school football, this is 1983, right? Let's just say we didn't throw the ball much. Actually, we didn't throw the ball at all. So Lefty, we knew he was a lefty because he handed the ball off with his left, not because he threw it with his left, right? And all this time he reminds me, because not only was he my quarterback, but his grandfather was our trainer. Yes, I said it. My Pop Warner team had a trainer, his granddaddy, Al Smith, right? And I had hamstring injuries as an 8-year-old. I had sprained knees as an 8-year-old. Now, I was a workhorse, and I can't lie. We did not lose a game until our 4th year in the championship game. So we went like 40-0 before we finally lost the game. And I used to get the ball all the time, blah, blah, blah. But that was the first time that I realized that, oh, you got to take care of your body. I'm that young. You fast forward, high school, no injuries, but going through a slow growth spurt. Then all of a sudden, Osgood Slaughters, right? You guys heard of that? That's basically your body saying you're growing, and you're growing a little too fast for your bones to keep up. So those little knees of yours, they're going to be sore. Here I am in high school, icing my knees after going to school, going to class. Everyone else is running around, riding their bikes, playing with their Transformers. Here I go with a big ice bag on my knees. Go to college, rare injuries, small tissue, little turf burn, nothing major, right? And then I switched positions. And I'm here to tell you guys, in the NFL is based on acreage, and it's based on real estate. Where do you live? So I used to be a running back, right? I get the ball, everyone's trying to hit me, but I'm still in space. I'm fast, I have agility, I'm athletic, I can make you miss, I can make moves, I'm okay. But then I got an eviction notice because I got too damn big to play running back, and frankly too small. Too slow. So coach was like, hey, bro, if you want to go to the NFL, you better switch positions. And I did. kept that speed. So a slow running back is a fast DN. Now I'm 6'4", I'm 280, and I can run. But now, coach, I am not living in the suburbs anymore. I am in the trenches. I am where they pay in hell for every play that you have to play. So I'm in the trenches. This, button heads, injury after injury after injury, no matter how big, how fast, how strong I was. And that's where this conversation is going to go. We're talking about, in particular, Zion Williamson. Now, Zion Williamson, I can now put the stamp on him. He is injury prone. He's a guy who has played in only 114 games of the 382 games. 35% of the games he's played in, and he's an all-star starter. So there's no doubt if he's on the court, he's a beast. The problem is he's off the court more than he's on the court. Why? I know everyone out there, the first thing you think is, oh, he ain't working as hard. He's not working out as hard. He's too fat. Let's start here because we're all constructed differently. You almost got to think about it like animals in the wild, or your dog. Like, they're different types of dogs, right? You can't look at a Rottweiler and say, oh, he's slow. No, his big ass can move, right? And then he'll let him race a poodle. Good luck, poodle. That Rottweiler gonna catch him and tear him up. Dobermans, etc. Like, big dogs still can move, still can hunt, still can do what they need to do. So I don't look at Zion like, oh, he's too big. One, he became Zion that big. So he's built for it. But why does he constantly break down? I've always felt that because the athletes are getting bigger, faster, stronger, the technology is keeping pace with them. But I don't think the workout regimen and routines are keeping pace with the athlete. I'll give you examples. Every team has their strength and conditioning coach. And typically, he's a guy who knows a lot about working out, who loves his job security, and who's going to try and take care of you, the athlete, make sure you stay healthy, and try and strengthen you. But he's not going to take the risk necessary for you to be prepared for the game and for what it endures, right? So you got to think about it. You have to train like you play. In the game, if we are going high-risk plays, we have to train as safely as possible, high risk. What does that mean? I look at trainers right now, and they can disagree with me all they want, but having a guy do a two-legged back squat is not any sport I've ever seen. Like, you don't play sports on both legs. You're not supposed to. You play on one leg at a time. So you have to do what? Single leg squats. This is something Mike Boyle, a great trainer out of Boston, who did a lot of combine training for Mike Mamula, myself, and many others who killed the combine. We learned this. What do you have to do? You have to make sure you try your best to replicate the game experience in practice, in training. I think a lot of athletes, because of the guidance of who is actually instructing them, their weight coach, their strength and conditioning coach, that guy does not want to have to go upstairs in practice or in training sessions and say, hey, you know what happened? We were trying to replicate the game experience and he got hurt. So what happens is you got guys who are on silos, guys who can do it themselves, a LeBron James who invests money in himself to make sure he gives himself the proper environment and coaching to do it all and do it to his best. But not everyone has that level of investment. Not everyone has those type of resources. Not everyone is doing that. So what happens? You get a lot of guys out there who's just going through the process, kind of like a 1980s model of training. And this is 2023. It's not keeping pace. So I don't think it's a Zion's lazy issue. I don't think it's a Zion is too big issue, even though he could lose some weight. Let me tell you why. For every pound on the scale that you're over your ideal weight, it's 9 pounds of atmospheric pressure in resistance. I give it to you again. If you're 5 pounds overweight, It is 45 pounds to your body in this relationship to gravity. You don't believe me? Lose 5 pounds. It's going to feel like you lost 45 pounds, right? That's how the game works. So whenever you hear of an athlete like, oh, he came in shape, he came in the best shape of his life, so he lost 10 pounds, and you're like, he looks like a new dude for only 10 pounds, it's really 90 pounds. At least that's what the gym rats would tell you. So you look at it from that lens, you start to realize, oh, it's really going down. Zion Williamson is an injury-prone athlete. I was an injury-prone athlete. I was a guy that when I got to start in the NFL, when I replaced Bruce Smith, I had a back surgery. When I go to the Chargers and sign for all that big money, I break my foot. When the next year I come back, I'm about to wipe down because I'm over here hot. The next year I come back, I tear my abdominal wall. The next year I come back, rotator cuff, labrum tear, AC joint shaved off, big needles every week. Injury prone. You can say, oh man, you weren't working out as hard. That's a damn lie. You know, it used to be really frustrating sitting there in the hot tub. I remember having conversations, almost crying with Rodney Harrison. And one time he really lifted me up, even though I didn't need it, but boy, did I feel it. He told me, he was like, man, it's crazy. People think you keep getting hurt because you're not working. You work your ass off. That's just the luck of the draw. Those are just the cards you were given. So I don't want to write it off as simply as Zion. That's just what it is, where it is. But we've seen guys like that, right? Greg Oden, et cetera. You could just go through the names, the list of guys who just couldn't get right in terms of their health. And I'm hoping Zion's not one of those guys because we are seeing something special. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it as often as we like. Well, it's time to switch gears right now. It's time to hit you with a Wileyism. Today's Wileyism comes from my man, head coach, the genius, Marv Levy. He told us this my rookie year. He said, you can't hoot with the Owls and soar with the Eagles. Can't hoot with the Owls and soar with the Eagles. Y'all know what this means. He was looking at his team like, dude, y'all need to go to bed. Y'all out there hanging, y'all out there chilling, y'all out there just partying, whatever you're doing. But you're trying to hoot with the Owls. But then when it comes time to wake up the next day, time to go get this work in, you can't soar with the Eagles. Basically, don't burn both ends of the candle. You got to be smart about that. We talked earlier about how important rest is for the offseason of NFL players. We just talked about it with Zion Williamson in terms of not only do you have to work out and work out hard, but you got to recover and rest just as hard. Once again, it shows his face. You can't go out there and hoot with the Owls and soar with the Eagles. And it's not just rest and recovery. Frankly, it's almost a responsibility conversation. We know nothing really good happens that late. I mean, one thing we do know, one thing. But other than that one thing, nothing really good happens after what they say, midnight, 2 o'clock, Tony Dungy style. We know what we're getting into when we let the clock strike 12. But the point is, if you have something, you have a task at hand, you have a goal in mind, make sure you attack it with full focus, full energy. And the only way to do that, frankly, you can't hoot with the Owls and soar with the Eagles. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me on this Valentine's Day. I love you. I love you so much. And you guys have a great Valentine's Day. Take care of you, take care of yours, and take care of our world. Much love to you guys. See you tomorrow on Brinks TV, Reach TV. That's never shut up.